Hello, everyone. Never mind.
It's inching along. This is slow up here, whatever's going on here. Are we live? It's going around.
I do see the live now.
Okay, we're live.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
All who have joined us for the meeting today. Hello, Bartek. You know what I think we will do, because you are our guest today, is why don't we all very briefly introduce ourselves. So I'm going to start with Ione on the screen.
Good. I'm Ione. I'm a former member of your meetings, and very happy to be back in the room with you. I am director of Ministry of Mahat, arts organization and educational. I am the former artistic director of Deep Listening Institute in Kingston, New York for 10 years. I've been living here 34 some years, and continuing the legacy of Pauline Oliveros and deep listening processes teachings throughout the world, and certainly here in Kingston, and very excited about the beautiful positioning of our Pauline Oliveros Memorial.
Thank
So-
you.
Mhm.
Thank you very much. Richard? No. Your name?
Rogers, and I'm an original member of the commission, and now again, and also one of the founders of Midtown Arts District, and I had a business in Midtown, which still exists, but I don't.
Bartek?
Bartek, I'm with the Office of Housing Initiatives.
I'm Dina Suggs, and I am probably the newest member, I think, of the Kingston Arts Committee. I've been in Kingston for about 5 years, and I work in cultural diplomacy at the Department of State. And my father had an African and pre-Columbian art gallery growing up.
Cicely Wilson, she, her, I work at Art College, we've met online. But I work at the Center for Civic Engagement as an assistant dean for civic engagement and director of community partnerships.
I'm a Bart grad, as you know. I'm a Bart grad.
I know. This is why I talked to you. Art grads in Kingston. So yeah.
Geotagged
Oh, thank you. I'm Lisa Kelly. I'm also on the Arts Commission 3 years now, and I'm also the executive director of the Kingston Midtown Arts District, and also on board of the Ministry of Mahat. It's all very incestuous. And steward of the Deep Listening Plaza by just caring a lot about it and loving going. So, yeah.
Oh, board members. I'm the vice chair of the commission. I'm also an original commission member, and I serve on a variety of boards in and around the neighborhood.
Becky Gibbs, chair of the board for Midtown Arts District. I'm also on the board of Bardavon Opera House and UPAC. And I'm operations manager for Kingston Art House.
Sarah Cassie, I think I know everybody in this room except Ione, I don't know. So, yes, so I'm a Ward 1 councilwoman, alderwoman, I guess, but and I'm also just working out, I'm going to leave you with cards. I'm working as a project manager for the Ulster County Arts and Culture Plan, so I'm going to send you all away with postcards to hand out, because we're in the throes of gathering information. It's been very interesting. So I'll say that.
Thank you. Sue?
I'm Sue Cahill. I'm planning director for the City of Kingston.
Really?
And Kim Tucker, I'm the Arts and Cultural Affairs Director of the City of Kingston.
You are the best, the first and the last and the best.
I'm a kid of unknown forces.
All right, everyone. May I have a motion to approve the minutes from our last meeting?
I moved.
And is there a second?
I'll second.
Cicely?
All in favor?
Oh, I have one correction to it.
Oh, good.
I was not present at the meeting, but I was listed, Lisa Kelly was listed present, but I was absent for that meeting.
Very good.
Okay, we will, so, duly noted. Okay, with that, may I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Oh, yeah, you already have a motion.
Oh,
So
you did,
that's
you've done
done.
everything. All in
Yeah.
favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yeah.
Glad there's laughing. That's always good. Okay, so now we are going on to our major event of the afternoon, which is a talk with Bartek about the current plans for the Pauline Oliveros Memorial and within the context of the development on Broadway.
Yeah, so I think I was, before this commission, maybe 2 years ago or so, when I had just started this position, and I mentioned that I was very interested in redeveloping the 615 Broadway site because it had been vacant for 12 years, and apart from the Keep Listening Plaza Memorial, nothing really much has happened on the site. And so a lot has happened since then. We have selected Baxter Development to lead the redevelopment of the site. And one of the conditions of their selection was that they have to continue the Deep Listening Plaza on the site. It can be moved, should be improved through some sort of amenities, but it does have to stay on the site. Baxter has proposed a mixed-use development with approximately 70 residential units, multiple commercial spaces on the ground floor.
How many floors?
So potentially up to 5 stories. I'll show pictures shortly. There's 3 different buildings, and they range from 3 to 5 stories. And Sue also knows the project well. So Sue, if I'm wrong, anything, jump in, please.
It's actually one floor, one ground floor that is continuous, and then there's 3 separate towers, so to speak. One which fronts on Broadway, looks like a Broadway structure in and of its own, and then 2 towards the back end, which will be more the house, or just housing, dedicated to housing.
Baxter's also working with Salvation Army, which is a property owner in the rear, fronting Cedar Street, to potentially buy some of their property for use on this, to better utilize the site, because the 615 Broadway site is quite strange. Right now, it looks like a jigsaw puzzle if you looked at the parcel viewer, so it's tough to fit development within some of those constraints. So we are in conversation with Salvation Army on that piece. That being said, they have proposed an initial site plan with renderings. They have started to discuss the plan before the planning board and hoping for site plan approval in the next few months, pending of full submission of an application. But that process, that entitlement process, what we call it, has begun. Once they receive their site plan approval, then they will be going to the Common Council because the City of Kingston still technically owns the property. And so the Common Council has to approve the transfer of the property.
Oh, so it's a purchase, it's not a lease.
Yeah, a purchase from the City of Kingston to Baxter. And there will be a sales development agreement alongside with that. So there's some conditions as part of that sale and as part of the site plan approval as well. I can pass these around, but this is the frontage basically. And these are the same that we shared during the lunch, so I'm not showing anything new, just so you know.
Okay, That's great.
Since you're not here. But this is the building, fronting Broadway, three-story building, looks past, it's around. This is sort of an aerial view of the entire site plan, as Sue mentioned, one continuous ground floor and then three different towers, kind of from there.
And that white thing is UPAC, like the white.
Yes, the larger building is probably UPAC. This is the existing, there's an existing historic building that's between this site and UPAC. So that's shown here.
Then that'll stay.
That will stay. And then the entrance to the Deep Listening Plaza will be along Broadway. And there'll be basically a corridor to the interior of the site. Within that, in the interior of the site, you have the Deep Listening Plaza itself, and then there'll also be commercial spaces flanking or surrounding the Deep Listening Plaza, which I think will help to enliven the space.
Is it like a courtyard?
Exactly, yes.
Oh, is that what?
That will become clear as it gets further, yes. And
But
so,
like the bench and all that, like that roof shifts, or you're just building around all of that?
I don't know what you mean. Can you explain what you mean by
I mean, like when it's facing the plaza, there's like the bench and the whole, there's, you know.
Oh, yeah, that will all go away.
Yeah.
Like, that will all be changed, yeah, that will not, we're moving the plaza to more of the interior, yes. You'll
Okay, the
continue,
whole thing gets
yes,
transferred,
yes,
okay.
and I mean, you'll still be able to access it via Broadway, but it will be in the interior. And then these are just some of the initial renderings of the courtyard itself. I think in terms of the programming and the landscaping and the features, Baxter is still working through some of that, and the architect, which is Mappos, so that there's still a conversation to be had about, you know, some of the programming within that space. We did have an initial discussion of that during our lunch a few weeks ago. We did receive, you know, the Baxter team did receive some initial ideas about potential arts programming and what else could be built into it. But the general gist of it is that it will be a courtyard space with seating, landscaping, and other amenities. And I think that seating, amenities,
Quick question.
landscaping, yep,
Existing building?
existing building, yes.
And then also, what kind of housing is it? Is it just market rate housing? Is it affordable?
That is still up in the air a little bit, but Baxter has committed to about 20% affordable housing, and the rest would be
As in 1/3 of income?
exactly at 80% area median income. And then the rest would be regulated as workforce housing, so it's 120% of area median income.
Okay.
So at the current proposal, it's actually, there isn't any market rate housing. But again, it depends on the ultimate financing and how that comes together.
I'm sorry, I didn't look at that. It is market rate?
It will be mixed income, so there will be at least 20% affordable.
Yeah.
And depending on how the rest of the financing comes together, there might be some market rate within that mix. Yeah,
You said 20% or 30%?
20%.
Is there, forgive me that I should know this, but is there a gas station on the?
Yes.
That's what I was thinking about. What is the future of the gas station?
Everyone wants to know, including myself. You know, that's not part of the site. You know, the Baxter could have gone to the owner and asked him if he was willing to sell. I'm not sure that he is.
Not to mention the fact that where gas stations have been, land is often.
Yeah. And I think it,
It's renovated a few years ago, didn't it?
Yeah.
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 And I think, because of, as you mentioned, the environmental issues connected with that would have injected some uncertainty into the project. So,
That's nice.
but it isn't part of it is not part of this project.
Is there any,
I'm sorry, it is not?
It is not.
is there any plan to use the rooftops for anything?
Not currently.
Is it like lease, you know,
Yeah.
doing the whole thing? Is this?
And that's not currently in the plans at this stage.
What's your question?
Leads, like what kind of sustainability?
You think like the city owned the property and they would require it, I mean, that's crazy.
I will say we have, the city of Kingston has adopted an energy efficiency code that's called Stretch. It's, you know, it's very stringent in terms of like what will be required in terms of energy efficiency. Compared to other municipalities. They're not currently planning on some kind of a LEED certification. That would be great if they did. There's just more upfront costs, obviously, with that kind of.
I know.
So,
Beer hall, I mean,
This would be,
okay.
our call,
I mean,
beer
Baxter
hall,
does own Millhouse
art shop,
property. And
yeah.
they're-
Do they?
Yes.
I think
It wouldn't be my choice.
it's very interesting. One thing I like is the fronting
I did.
on the street, because that was always supposed to be part of the look of the city, but that, rather than the insets, I know there was the fight over the, was it Rite Aid drugstore? You know, when it replaced the bus station, you know, that it was inset and they kind of jawbone the city to
Yes.
allow for that, and we have parking, which is not the way, you know. This is not-
Yeah, this project would restore the streetscape of
Yeah,
Broadway in a way that I do really like. And
Yeah.
historically, you know, before the site was vacant, before the King's Inn, there was a brick building on that site that went right up against the sidewalk. So this would restore some of that.
I mean, when was King's Inn?
Before it was King's Inn.
Oh, before it was King's, oh, that's a long time ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
could you could we go back to the Pauline Olivero speed listening space and understand exactly where it will be, if you could hold up
Yeah.
an image and how it would
Yeah, there's no
work,
clear-
where there's
Yeah, so it's-
a label.
If you look at so it's basically behind this front building. This is the courtyard.
This is all the courtyard.
If you see the tree poking out,
Yeah.
so you enter it on Broadway,
Oh.
and it would be in there.
And that's all this picture.
Exactly.
And-
But where's the entity of the,
Like, is there an entrance depicted?
I mean, it's not been accounted for in these renderings, right?
I'm sorry, what hasn't been accounted for?
The
The
listing
listing
plaza.
plaza part, or the delisting part of the.
So it's not here.
No, this is the courtyard. This is all the deep listening plaza on Main
Oh,
Street.
the whole thing
Yes.
is going to be called the.
The entire interior is going to be the deep listening plaza.
But then there'll be a memorial plaque or something on.
Yeah, that was one of the things that came up in the lunch, that there would be a memorial plaque or some kind of interpretive sign within the deep listening.
And was that written into, I'm sorry.
Right, there'd be the ability for sonic sculptures that would be ongoing, things of that sort. And I'd also like to make sure that the entranceway has some recognition of where you're going, of what it is that's inside. I like it being kind of nurtured as with buildings around. That's fine as a plaza, as a courtyard, a place to rest perhaps and sit and listen.
Is this being written into the agreement with the developer that all of this must take place? Because my expectation is that most developers are like, this is what they want now, we'll build this thing, forget about it, it's never gonna happen.
Yeah, it will be part of, and Sue can speak to this, it will be part of their site plan approval.
Right, that's why I'm taking some notes now. They're still, as Bartek mentioned, they've had 2 preliminary discussion meetings, we'll call them, with the planning board the past couple of months, in anticipation of them making a formal application in September. So there will be public hearings, and obviously the board is very much aware of the Pauline Oliveros space, and the need to maintain that. So how that is incorporated into the final design has yet to be determined. But obviously we want your feedback, and we want your feedback, so that at the planning board level, we can be sure that what the final product ends up being and designed as meets all of your expectations.
I'm not very well versed in this. If the developer doesn't follow the rules, what happens?
Well, they won't get a certificate of occupancy.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, when a site plan is approved, they sign a statement. One of the conditions of the planning board approval is what we call board policy 6. And it is a statement that says that they will adhere to the plans as approved on such and such a date by the planning board, and they sign that statement. Another aspect is that the planning board can request and require a performance bond to be provided to the city for all site improvements. And if site improvements are not completed, obviously, we can utilize that bond. We've never had to do that, we've threatened it, and once you start that process, they seem to get the work done. Because with the city, we have to use prevailing wage rates and other things of that nature, it tends to drive costs up. So they don't want to spend any more money than we have to, but I mean, if push came to shove, the city could complete a project. And we would not, we wouldn't use those proceeds to, if somebody, say, demolished a building to prepare a site and never really completed the demolition, we would not build the project. We would just basically remove what debris is there, maybe level the site and secure the site by seeding it or whatever is needed, but we wouldn't build a project. We would just use it to make the environment more safe and secure.
What is a performance bond?
A performance bond
Yeah.
it's basically, it is a bond, it's money. And what it does is it's provided to the city, it's in the city's name. It's held by the city until a project is complete. As a developer completes components of the project, say they complete what we might call phase 1 of a project, they can request the bond to be reduced so that we're not holding as much of their money, and then that money typically gets infused back into their costs to do the construction.
I'd like to go on with. Good.
Okay, well, I just have one other, but it just, it's being required to be the deep listening plaza. How is that a permanent, is there a way to make that permanent so that, say the development gets sold, or whatever, and somebody else comes along, or,
I have a piggyback question to that too,
Okay.
in regards to
Then ask yours, yeah.
the title transfer, if it's going to stipulate some in perpetuity clause for the deep listening plaza?
That would be with the common council, and that's one thing, as the planning board has asked for, is any documentation as to what the agreements are at this time between the city and Pauline Oliveros Foundation or whomever, to have that space. And so if there's any particulars now, we want to know what they are now. And then when the city sells the property to the prospective developer, then that should be incorporated into
But all
the
of
sale.
it will be sold to Baxter, all of that property, so there's not like it's not reserved.
The intent, that's my understanding, the intent is to sell it, but, obviously that sale would be with the stipulation that this public space be retained as public space and available for public.
And what remains the relationship, what's the relationship with the Pauline Oliveros Foundation?
That's a non-entity, it's the Ministry of Mahat.
Well, yes, there is a Pauline Oliveros Foundation, not foundation, but trust. Pauline Oliveros Trust.
Oh, okay.
And that certainly does exist, and that is being currently assisted by the Ministry of Mahat, but there is a trust. It's my understanding that Baxter's very good on follow through, according to the mayor, who said he's chosen them or brought them in because he feels they have a good track record on that. So originally it was stated that by the city that it would be there forever. And I love that. I love that concept. But I don't know how that fits in terms of legal language. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we all share the same intent, and that it should be permanent, it should be there, I won't say forever, right, but for the foreseeable future. I think it's basically just a question of legality, right, in terms of when it's sold, to make sure, obviously it's included in site plan approval, and then also in the sales documents from the city to Baxter, and also in the common council resolution.
I'd really like to get down to the nitty gritty here about the relationship between Baxter and the city, the Kingston Arts Commission, the ACA. Because, it's great that there's going to be this area that is dedicated with a marker, if you will. But my question is, because my activities, my events, anything I do is on city property only. Bridging this relationship, I think it's very new to the city of Kingston then, between the Kingston Arts Commission, the ACA, and a developer. What is the future of our relationship as far as hosting activities, is as far as maybe going after a grant? I think this was the conversation that I came in on, because there was the talk of a grant or a memorial, not only for Pauline, but other Kingston legends. I heard Anna Bailey talk about Ben Wigfall and others. I think it was a Mellon Foundation grant, but it was a memorial, so to speak. So that's not just like a plaque, but it's like, this is a renowned, world-renowned, Oliveros is huge to the world. So it would be nice to have a little marker, but what do we do, as the relationship evolves between, and when I asked, I think it was Sue, before, I think we were talking before, it's a complicated relationship because they own it, but how is the city able to host events? Because it seems that it'll just be a place where it looks nice. And it's a dedication, there's a marker there, but can we host events?
But you were saying that we cannot do a city-sponsored
Well, that's what
event
I'm asking.
except on city property.
With this new development, with this new relationship.
I mean, it's a public space, right, but it's not operated by the city.
Privately owned, it's.
But open to the public.
Yeah, and the precedent is the plazas in New York, you find throughout Manhattan, right? It has an acronym, right? Privately owned, publicly accessed, something like that. Anyway, it's a new type of space in the city.
What becomes the new relationship that is evolving between us and Baxter when it comes down to the deep listening?
It sounds like a new law.
Is it an easement?
Yeah.
Similar to an easement?
What would be you do events at Old Dutch Church, it would be the same kind of thing. You could still, I think, organize and work with the property owner. In fact, they've mentioned to us that they've met with some of the Midtown arts people to talk about, how that space is to be purposed.
Some of whom are in this room.
So this is just open season. And Baxter will be coordinating who does activities or events on their property.
Right. Yep.
Very good. So the deal will have to be that if we wanted to do something there, Ione wants to have her Dream Festival there, that she would approach Baxter at this point, once this is signed, sealed, and delivered, you have that.
I would like to mention that we had the honor of talking about this for a half hour, which is how long you gave this discussion. And so I would like to be able to, first of all, thank Bartek for the presentation and thank you, Ione, for joining us. Is there any, are there any words that anyone would like to give to sum up? Or do we feel that?
What do you need from us?
Well, I think it remains an open conversation, right? Because this project is still in flux, right? Or not in flux, but it's still very much in development. And so I think, I don't want to say open call for ideas, but really, like, if you have an idea, you can just reach out. Yeah, myself or Sue or Kit, in terms of the design or the layout or the programming or how if you have thoughts on like the ownership piece or the management piece, or this needs to be a deed restriction, that there's always a deed listening plaza on this specific spot.
So that's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to promise anything, but these are things that we're thinking about, right, as we kind of
the
move
planning
forward.
board is going to be having a public hearing on this, so certainly, if you do want to, submit comment, on the plan itself, I mean, that's the appropriate time to start.
Do you have a
To
sense
submit your
time?
ideas and your thoughts,
What further role does the commission have in this then? I mean, is it, are there to be involved in ongoing meetings or,
How about, I don't see a role for the commission once this is all settled.
I think the role of the commission is to help to steward and advise this project to make sure it meets our expectations.
but
If you're
also,
willing,
but
right?
also a continuation on of the, I mean, we're talking about a Pauline Oliveira's space, plaza, and that's where I think the commission does have some kind of continued involvement. I mean,
But the next stages are going to be handled by,
right,
city employees.
that I agree.
And I think that we have to make ourselves available and in a very positive way. Should you need our assistance, should you need the community to support keeping this where we would like it to be. And so I think that's where we are.
And when do you think the public, you said the public hearing and all that, do you have just sensitive time-wise when that might be?
Well, we are hoping that it will be at the September planning board meeting, so September 16th, is that meeting date. That will be the initial hearing. It'll probably be kept open. My guess would be it'll be kept open for at least a month.
Okay.
September 16th?
I'm just curious if it's possible for the Arts Commission to offer some sort of, on an advisory capacity to either the contractor, architects, and or the planning board to assure these sort of pieces of the puzzle of the memorial aspect. I mean, like,
That's what
not to say like to be the clearinghouse, but really, I mean, this is an opportunity, I think, for the city to really enrich our arts and culture, and really embed it into public spaces.
And that's not uncommon. I mean, like the Conservation Advisory Council offers comments on projects all the time. So the Tree Commission submits comment
How
to
do they
the
do
planning board. As a commission, they form an opinion and they talk about it, and then they put it in writing and they submit it and present it as a.
Is that something we should do for the September 16th meeting?
I would, I mean, if you feel like you want to provide that thought, absolutely,
Okay.
Can we have
Yeah,
a few?
Yeah, I'll coordinate it.
Okay.
And Ion, will you also advise from that?
Definitely. Yes, I think we had another meeting before, and people put in some wonderful concepts and ideas at that time, and I think everyone on this commission would be really good at that. So I'll be part of it. Love to be part.
Okay.
Well,
So yes.
thank you all very much for really good suggestions and comments.
How do you
Thank
say
you,
your
thank you
last
for
name?
starting.
Start.
What time are
Thank
planning?
you.
What time are planning?
Okay, Let's,
Thank you.
let's go on to our next agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you all.
You want this too?
Yes, thank you.
It makes the building a little more attractive on Broadway.
I know. It's a bummer, it's such a
Facade is a
bummer.
little glossy, right?
Bummer,
Right, I'll just say that was the, the initial rendering, it's possible, actually likely that the building will have to change, the Broadway building will have to change a little bit to meet some of the architectural standards in the new form-based building.
Okay.
It's a curves in there.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Bartek.
Thank you.
Okay,
That's
let's-
it for me.
yes, it's fun. Bit butter.
Okay, I am very sorry for this because I'm working on about 5 or 6 projects at once that are due all now. But I bought an exhibit here. This is Queen Juliana. She visited in the 50s. It was a big thing. The Roosevelts were here. Everybody was here. She presented this as a gift to the city of Kingston, to the then mayor. And it hung somewhere on the city hall. And then it eventually went up to the attic where it has lived for a very long time. Pretty good shape. This, to be in a, very extreme heat, very extreme cold. It held up quite well. The back, I'm not sure what's going on back there, but, in any case, now that we have a public art policy, and we know there are steps to be taken, I just needed to let the KAC know that the request has been made from Old Dutch Church to get her out of the attic so that they can prominently display her.
For how long?
As long as the KAC decides.
Okay, because this is with color photographs and especially like color photographs at a certain age, it's very highly likely that they will fade.
So you can't open it. I have a color photograph of my grandmother when she was christened.
If you put it in-
That do not touch it.
If it's in low light, that's a very different story, but one would have to make it conditional on the kind of light that it was going to be in, and that there would be an end to the loan.
There also is UV protective.
It's still will fade.
Yeah, I wouldn't open it. From the photographers that have advised me on my grandmother's christening picture, once the air hits that, it'll deteriorate right away, so, it's there unless it breaks. So anyway, that was the request from Old Dutch Church because, this is like, I think, the 300th anniversary or something like that of the relationship between the Netherlands and, Kingston.
Right.
And this was such a very important visit by her, so.
So the question is, what will the lighting, for us to ask Rob, where will it be? What will the lighting be? Can someone go over and check the lighting?
Can you, because I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, yeah, and then it should also be
This
photographed.
is going back to my, you're the experts in the, I mean, the
But
commission, we're gonna be advising.
Normally, I would say not more than 2 months, but I don't know that that's what Rob is looking for. Because, but if there's very low light, it could be 6 months.
Or could it be covered when it's closed, like?
Then
that
everybody-
doesn't-
Yeah, Old Dutch is very low light. There's-
You're in the hallway here, it's low light.
It's not such low light. I want, in other words, what I'm saying is, I'm pleased that he wants it, but I want to protect the city's property.
Okay, so I'm gonna write notes to the commission on this, and if anybody has any questions for Rob, I'll take it back to Rob, and then I'll take it to the mayor. And my next, and I'm gonna bounce, but forgive me, but one of the pieces that would be in part of what I'm involved with is to get back to the mayor to get the commission's recommendations for the permanent public art committee. So that the public art committee, the current public art committee can start engaging in things like this. And also, the question is coming up, of course, we have to do the grit work of the inventory before we might commission new art. But that doesn't stop us from accepting loans.
No.
That doesn't accept, our great Carmen Lizardo, who gets invited to apply for grants for temporary public art. That doesn't stop us. So this process is something that, I'd really be grateful, once the, permanent, public art committee is formed and its advisors. Because I just anticipate that everybody that participated as a member of the public art committee, gave such valuable input that they hopefully will stay on as advisors in some kind of capacity as these kind of things pop up. So this being the first that's coming, there will be more. There's grants for individual artists, coming up, now in the fall, also in the winter. And wondering, what our process will be. We do have, are you leaving?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. And I'll see you again. Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.
If I will write to the commission first of all to close this out on, the loan policy, I guess, or the loan agreement that we can, establish with people who are asking for our piece of art.
And there are models, I'm sure that not only other cities have, but you can ask the Doorsky for their loan agreement.
To loan out a piece of art.
I'm sure that Bard has loan agreements. And
it's part of there were forms within the policy.
There's forms, there's templates, we can work on it. But of course, there's that question, and I'll get to how we landed finally with the statute. But, there's this question of, having to see Old Dutch Church's insurance policy on this, covering any such damage.
it's not just God.
So I will look up that, send forms. I think they need some tweaking. But I'm just loving this. I'm glad that he brought her out of the attic because he just, I saw her when I first came. I'm like, who's that? And somebody said, the Queen of the Netherlands. I thought, the person who agreed with the slave trade. Let's leave her up in the attic. And that wasn't cool. So, and this was a big deal. And again, Eleanor Roosevelt was here, I think. And
I think she wrote about it in her diaries.
Yes.
Yeah, some like My Day or,
So all of this, yes.
I did some research on it because.
Can I see that on
I will send you all the background, because,
This is the New York Times?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's old, 1952. So I will send you as
That's
much
excellent.
background. Taylor's working on sending me, when she visits Kingston and all the background stuff. And then, the template of this is my homework, the, template for the loan agreement. And then, if you would have any questions that I take back to Old Dutch, and then let's see what we do with this.
Great.
I'm really happy that Rob said, could you please get her terrible attic?
That's great.
This is a shame that she's there. Okay, next, I just want to let you know that, New York State is so bowled over, I'm so blown away. You gotta go.
Yes, I'm sorry, another board meeting.
I'll call you. New York State is so blown away by what we are being touted as the most progressive in the state as far as these reenactments, historic reenactments. So I'm going to Vernon Kingston now. We now have 4 days.
Good grief.
Yeah.
Last year we had 3 because of me, and now we have 4. It will start October 17th. We have this incredible professor coming up from CUNY who will be doing a talk about LGBTQ and the Revolutionary War. She's done some extreme worship on this. Sorry, I don't have it right in front of me. I'll pull it up. I'm going to keep talking while I'm pulling it up. And
I'm sorry, you said it spans the October 17th to the 20th?
oh yeah, okay, LGBTQ life in colonial times. And this is going to be sponsored by Old Dutch Church and the Hurley Historic Society. Glasses would be fine. Oh, good, I can see. Okay, this is the better one. Dr. Megan Rhodes Victor, Clooney Queens College, archaeologist of commensality, drinking spaces, queer spaces, and underrepresented narratives. So she's going to be doing a talk about LGBTQ in colonial times. So we just there today.
So that's on the 17th?
And that's on the 17th.
Does each day have a theme?
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of. Because then after that, and I'll be sending you all a final draft of this, we go to Old Dutch Church on Friday night, the 18th. We will have an organ recital first, and then Loyalty and Zeal, Algonquins of the Revolution, Drew, Shaktar Ravis. And basically, he would be talking about Algonquin people and some Iroquois of the period, material culture, trade, complex political paths of patriotism, Toryism, neutrality. It's pretty heavy stuff. But he's also going to be coming in regalia. And he's going to explain from top to bottom what every piece of this regalia means or signifies. So then we go to Saturday and we go to the regular reenactments. And then we come down to Saturday night. We're going to Old Dutch Church for the plight of the slaves narratives. And then on Sunday has become extremely exciting. They're just going overboard. This is the Brigade of the American Revolution who has just joined us now. And so Sunday morning, they are going to incorporate into, well, we have the Capital 5K run. So a lot of runners do this. They commemorate the human history of burning of Kingston when over 2,000 Kingstonians, mostly women and children and elderly, fled to the town of Hurley, seeking refuge as the soldiers burned the city to the ground. There will be tours going on. UCAT is going to be running buses. Hurley will provide tours. While that's going on at Old Dutch Church, Pastor Henry Cook will present an 18th style service, wreath-laying ceremony, and then
An 18th century style, is that what you meant? 18th century, yeah.
Okay. And then over from 1 to 3 for tea with Martha Washington, an 18th century tea tasting. Then we're going to St. James and we're going to have Bard Conservatory, Chevalier, Mozart, Haydn, but
Is that on, wait, we're still on Saturday or?
no, we're going to Sunday.
We're already Sunday.
Yeah.
Chevalier is on Sunday.
I will send you all of this. We're just about fine. And world premiere, Sam Mutter has promised, because he wasn't ready last year, but he's ready.
Who?
Sam Mutter, the prodigy from Bard, he has composed a piece exclusively for the burning of Kingston, and it's a composition for 4 voices.
Will this be the Kingston premiere?
World premiere.
Oh, the world premiere.
He's done, one of his world premieres was at Napa Concerts a couple years ago. That's how big this kid is, and he's just still in school.
Wow.
Oh, he's still a student?
Yeah.
That's great. Good.
So, yeah, we've been lauded as being the most progressive and this year it's Kingston, Voices Lost in the Fire.
Excellent, like it.
Yeah, love it. So, we have so many.
It is intense.
Yeah.
Burning.
Voices lost in the fire?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, it's good.
When you think about it, it was
And
like.
the activities on Sunday are day or night?
Day into the afternoon, well, 3 to 5 will be the finale, what was going on across the pond, and then coming back over here for Sam Mutter, Bard.
That's into
and
the
his
evening,
folk.
so like 3 on.
3 to 5.
Is, I'm sorry, I missed, are they having the reenactments of the?
They're gonna have the reenactments, but the Brigade of the American Revolution is taking it a step up.
Are they?
I'm not sure what they're bringing, but I'm understanding they're brilliant. So, yeah, I mean, we're still gonna do the reenactment with the shooting, but as far as the reenactment and the demos, I've heard that their reenactment and their little demos are pretty impressive. So you're gonna have somebody think something for everyone, because for 30 years it was just white people shooting at each other, and it's what I say it that way because that's what it was.
Yeah.
And a lot of people say, and I do say it too, that I'm tired of the same old every year. I mean, you go to Washington headquarters in Newburgh and you hear the cannon shoot off and they all march around, and we just go like this. And there were other voices. And I'm hearing that we in Kingston are the only ones through the arts that are bringing out the other voices of the many people that were there.
What a great, I mean, this has been a fight since 2019.
Right, and the one thing that I regret is that Frank Marquette has bowed out, because he was bringing the women's voices through theater, but he has bowed out, he's not, well, he says he's not doing theater on the road, but I think maybe he just wants to take a little break. So I want to go to Sojourner.
Well, congratulations, first of all.
Yeah, that sounds
On
fantastic.
all you've been doing.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a heavy lift. It's just me and Taylor. So
Where is it gonna be listed and everything?
Oh,
It should be like its own website.
Yes, we have a Burning Kingston website, that's why I'm racing to finish, because our goal is to, in 2 weeks, have this up on the Burning Kingston website. And then we go to print and interviews and get the word out. So let's go to Sojourner Truth, First Step to Freedom. This has been a heavy lift for me, personally, be working with Dr. Wheeler in the cabinet, about bringing the statue out of the warehouse, to Kingston, City Hall, September 28th. It started out, with a vision to do a private, invitation only unveiling. We won't be doing that. That's excluding too many people.
Yeah.
So we were doing an exhibition opening. And it will be, we open at 5. And it'll be the flow, just think Kingston Revealed. We have a lot of people flowing through. Tilda's, I met with them yesterday, and they're working on a, well, we were allowed to have chickens. So we're working on something with chickens, we're working with corn, we're working with a lot of stuff, the local bounty from the era of Sojourner, but we're also working on West African fare as well. He is sponsoring. the
Oh, that's
catering.
nice.
So I'm grateful for that. So envision this, we are on the ground floor, we have a big screen for the spillover, and that's where the food's gonna be, and shares, so that anybody that, gets here after and the council chambers happens to be filled, there's a spillover. I met with Radio Kingston today, they're ready, well, they're amazing, I don't know what we do without them.
Yeah.
So the flow will be that, we open the doors that we can get in at 4 because New York State occupies the building all day until 4 o'clock. They have something going on. The original court records will be delivered at 4. And Kingston KPD color guard will be guarding the original court documents as well as the statue from 4 to 8.
Right.
We'll have.
This is the 28th?
Yes.
Still, okay, we're still on the same thing.
Yeah, I'm just so grateful that, because I asked for police, because in order to have the original court documents, now this has nothing to do with Sophia, her coming back to get her daughter, this is what the statute depicts. This is her other kid that she fought for.
The boy.
At the Ulster County Courthouse.
That's right. So those original court documents will be delivered
That's
here.
so exciting.
I know, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and I called, because they must be guarded, armed guard. And so I called KPD and I told them what was going on. And they said, oh, we'll go one better. We're not just sending the police, we're going to send a KPD color guard. I was like, oh God, this is getting too good. So we're finalizing the program. I'm not gonna say it out loud because I don't want people to know, because it's gonna be good and good. But I'm just so, I can see it now. And I can feel better now because we're not doing anything invitation only, we're not excluding anybody, we're not putting a guard at the door saying you can't come in yet. We're just gonna open the door and say, all are welcome.
Bravo.
And then working on, and I'm sorry, I'm just sending this to you, but looking at the programming that we promised, since we're going to be having her with us for such a long time. So I've given you a very rough draft of the call for art. I would like to have out by the end of the month, not early September. And we don't have to deal with this now. I emailed it to you. If you could give me but my gut says, let's make it simple since we've got so much going on. And just do the call for art like we did Kingston Reveal. And make sure that Kingston's finest know about this call for art and participate in this call for art. I also have asked Trina Green if she would like to have tea with Trina for one of the artist talks next year. So she's kind of shy about them. I'm like, why not? You talk my ear off all the time. Angering me and fussing at me, and now you can tell me you don't want to do. But this, I don't want her to get up on, I think the whole thing is her getting a microphone and doing an artist talk as opposed to having it to be like, we can do the chambers that any way we want. This is just one of my ideas for 25. That we can have it any way we want, because there's so many fans of hers that just want to hang out. And there's a lot of young artists that adore her. Shawnee Richards. She's going to be showing at Unison soon. And others who would just like to spend time. Another idea I have, okay, so to close out the call for art, if you could give me any of your input on this, I would love it if we can once again have the Kingston Arts Commission be in the selection panel for this. We'll make sure that Kingston's finest and others.
Part of the public committee at that point?
For the exhibition is a separate policy. We didn't include the exhibition policy in the public art policy.
Oh.
I asked.
Well, rather than having the commission be doing the choosing, I would say to have either members of the commission or the commission suggests one or two people to do the.
Simplify.
Yeah.
I love it.
Sort of like extinguishers or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but this is very common. You have, basically one curator, one person who's or two. And maybe it's better if it were two, but.
Well, if you can give me those suggestions, what are you're wrinkling up your eyebrow, you're wrinkling up.
That's fine.
I'll talk to you later.
An exhibition's not.
It's not. It's not.
I understand.
So this call is not just for Kingston, it's for, how far is this reaching?
Kingston. This is, in the master plan.
So if you're from Burley, you can have a work in the end.
Let's just look back at the master plan and what we said, because, Kingston Revealed was definitely, well, it was Kingston or about, yeah, you're right. So it can be open, I think, right?
Well, it doesn't read like it's just Kingston.
Okay, that's from the last one. So
Oh, okay.
we've all decided on whether or not the last one had to be all just from Kingston.
It's that Kingston becomes the center of, the organizer, that's the main thing. Doesn't matter where the hell anybody comes from, as long as they're somewhere.
I think our master plan said that we showcase Kingston and Kingston's galleries and Kingston's institutions. So
Yeah.
perhaps as Maggie just stated, we can say.
The what?
Live for study in Kingston, some connection.
But what Maggie suggested is that, we'll show Kingston will be prioritized, but you're not left out if you're not from.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in Lake of Trinity, for instance.
Right.
Or you.
Surrounding area.
Yeah.
Exactly.
These are just a step over the line.
Not.
Okay, I'm gonna move. What else did I bring in? We mentioned that we'll need.
Reopening Kingston Arts Commission application.
Yeah, please. Could you talk to me about that? Because,
I think it's an excellent idea and we need more suggestions of people on the commission.
How many are supposed to be on the commission?
9.
9, and we have.
We have 2 openings.
Oh, we still have 2.
And what, if you look at this is what I'm bringing to you, if you look at the Kingston Arts Commission page, it's pretty generic. And then when you look at we're accepting applications, it's one sentence. So people don't really know what we need, what we're looking for, what we're after, what we need at this table, what kind of skills, what kind of.
Isn't that why we were gonna rework the resolution so that we
Well,
can have.
that's next.
function.
What's next?
But I would also,
We haven't established our function.
but I would also really strongly suggest, and I'm sorry that we're not all here, that members of the commission think a lot about who they would recommend for the commission, because we know experienced arts people. And
And business, I mean, that was one of the.
Yeah,
but I do-
Sure, arts business people. I don't know anyone who.
I have.
But I do agree with what Lisa's saying, though, if there's gonna be a sort of focus on kind of what the function of the commission is, and if anything's gonna sort of shift, that's gonna also help us identify what we actually do need, if they're gonna be.
We gotta be
decisions
clear, if we're
about the
gonna be, hey, we got applications, we don't know why, but you, you know, sign up, you know, like, to be on the
Lisa, this is a
commission.
really good point, so can we just go to, Sarah? Sarah? It is maybe jumping to fill the 2 seats, we don't have to hurry with this. I do I'm listening and I hear that we are in the process of, revising the resolution for this established commission. So should that come first?
Not necessarily.
I don't know that the resolution is gonna be so vastly different, or the functions will be so vastly different.
No, we need people.
But you need people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have someone in mind, for example, I
Me
think.
too.
I kind of disagree, because I feel like this always comes around, this has been coming around for the 3 years that I've been on the commission. Everybody thinks it's not a big deal, but then it comes around being a big deal that we don't. And now with the public art policy and the master plan, the commission hasn't really addressed its form and function. I mean, even with Kit's position, I mean, I just feel like for all practical matters, you know, in front of us, I mean, to be a proper commission, I mean, like, today, I'm just so thrilled that we can draft an opinion for the arts. I never even thought we could do that. Like, what an amazing function of our commission to do that.
But I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm saying that you can both bring new people on the commission and have all of these
Oh, to be able
Different.
to,
acts, but you want good minds, you know, to be part of the discussion. That's what I'm,
But also how you speak about what the actual commission does, what the purpose is.
let's have those new minds come in and talk about
I
it.
think it's also important now, because to make the distinction between the public art committee
Right.
and the commission, so,
Yeah.
because they're not necessarily the same people.
I think it could be.
And so for the public to be able to make the clearly commission
we
openings.
guys always talk about
Committee.
governance, aren't we?
How can I say it's in my blood?
So I would ask that we all, and that, and maybe we should send it out to our colleagues who are not here, we all give some thought to people who we would like to recommend to apply to be members of the Arts Commission.
And to also, in doing that, write, you know, give some kind of real reason why, you know, not just submit a name, but to really advocate for that person.
So they don't have to apply, they can just be appointed, or we put something to the
Well,
mayor.
what's been whole here is the orientation, because normally people who have been elected to be on this commission come see me. What is my role? And I just tell them what I'm doing, what I'm working on. But as far as the role, I'm going back to at least this point, you know, we have a dangling resolution, and I tend to disagree because I've been studying this resolution, and a lot has developed since the original one in 2014.
That one piece, that one thing about promoting, there's like something about us, the commission.
There's
promoting.
fundraising, there's a
Yeah.
lot of things that have
Things that have to
really,
change.
I mean, I didn't understand why I was hearing fundraising when the rules and the code say you can't, but it's written in the resolution. They got passed by the common council.
Yeah.
Which had stuff that we're not supposed to be doing in it, so it's like, how did this even pass the common council? Yeah. So, and then whereas, I mean, we can go down, I just gave, the mayor, some whereas we now have a commission, whereas then we first had a commission, now we have an ACA, now we have a public art policy, now we have this. I mean, so many things have occurred since 14. So be it told now, this function of this, and we have several models. Sarah sent you a few to go by that state exactly where we're going with this. But I think it's important, I think I agree that before we bring on new members, we need to be clear on this resolution and clear on the evolving and merging role of the KBC.
I do respectfully disagree.
Oh,
Could I suggest that we divide and conquer this? I mean, like, I'm really interested in looking at the resolution and updating it.
fine.
If we can also have people looking into, or looking at potential nominees.
Right.
And then, I don't know, I mean, is there maybe some, here I am again, forming of a committee, like,
September, October, December.
resolution?
This year is
Yeah.
almost over, so to be working on both concurrently, I think is fun. Especially when you have also established that, we want to invite applications, we want to have interviews with perspectives, as opposed to just going with you, and then, go through the process of selecting, the two that you feel are the heavies. And the first ever committee of this is going to be the Public Art Committee. And that has some legs to grow too. That's kind of templated right now. But the priorities, the first priorities for that is what I mentioned earlier, I think, anyway, is that we can establish that method and procedures for accepting the inquiries about loans, or the inquiries from our amazing artists that are always invited to write their own grants for temporary public art. These are things that we can start working on like right now, so that in 25 we can be going with something.
Which is why we need more commissioners.
And well, that's the first committee though, this is what's so impressive to me though, is that, since I've been here, there's been talk about establishing committees. And this is our first ever committee, and it's a major one. Because from this public art committee, it grows all kinds of legs. So you all decide on, because I think working on this concurrently is fine. We hope to have a draft by September.
Yeah, the mayor has asked me.
So we're not talking about a long time.
What?
We're not talking about a long time, before the resolution.
Talking about.
Well, let's just say government works very slowly, so once you get a draft and the mayor looks at it, and then it comes to you to look at, then it has to go.
They're not gonna take a long time.
You're not gonna take a long time, but then it has to go through the committee structure. So it has to go to probably laws and rules, and then from there, it has to go.
Right, but I'm not talking about costs. I mean, if we agree on the draft, no, as long as the mayor's okay with it, the KDC is okay with it.
But it won't be official
To get it
until
officially passed.
it takes both sides. We
Yeah,
got that.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So you're drafting it? What? You're drafting it?
Well, Kid has already drafted something. I'm
Well,
just
we're
taking
working,
a
the
look at
mayor
it.
would like to work with the staff. I'm just staring at this for a while and then present some kind of working draft to the KDC as opposed to this blur. So we're not gonna give you a blur, we're gonna give you something that has teeth on
All right,
it.
move forward.
Right,
You wanted to end at 5:45.
yes.
Is
Yes,
that okay if we're going over for a few more minutes?
I was just gonna ask a question, is it possible to have interim appointments, if there are two vacancies on the commission, could you just appoint someone, or no? You don't know?
That's working with us on,
I'm creating all of
Yes.
this, yeah, got it.
Because right now, this is discovery, sort of like reopen, the applications. Right now, when you go to your page, it says we're not accepting. So I reopened and
Thank you.
you can reopen and put this out to the public and get all kinds of hot fire replying as opposed to boots on the ground from the KAC.
Great.
Right,
They're happy to be helpful.
to encourage those who can work, roll up their sleeves and, really get this policy, public art, all this juicy stuff that's coming up and get us rolling on this. That's our
I have a question also, I mean, we're talking about, talking to people about, I'm sorry, recommending names of people. These people, I assume, need to really also apply. I mean, it's not.
That's what I just said.
You're encouraging
Richard, have you thought about being on the Arts Commission? Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
So could you, thank you, I'm so glad you're interested. Could you fill out this form that's on the city's website?
If you insist, I'll apply.
And then,
It's always if you insist.
give it a deadline for the commission this time, because, we had a pile of applications that piled up, I think we had 29 before you came in. And so the goal is maybe by November for the commission to, because we'll have a working document for a resolution at that point. We'll know who's on first and who's on second. We already know what the public art policy, so if we say that by November, you'll be looking at these applications, that gives a couple of months for, boots on the ground to be looking at, because I snatched her off of the field, she came to Juneteenth. And I just snatched her and grabbed her hand and said, yes, and I said, hi, I want to talk to you about wanting to be a commissioner too, huh? So, I mean, we snatch bodies like that, but.
Would you suggest that if we have someone in mind, should we first contact you or should we contact the person first?
I think that we should have this process the way it's been going, and you'll ask me to reopen. So I'll reopen the application process and then go ahead and ask people to apply.
Okay.
And then you'll see the applications pop up and give it a deadline though, and then I'll close it or something, let's not just leave it open because that's when, 29 for 2 years lingered in the waiting area. But I think if you set a goal to say that, we're gonna make a concerted effort to get new commissioners to apply, letting them know that, we'll make our final decision by January, bring you on in January, or did you want to bring them on before?
January is, I think, it sounds fine, but if we come up with 3 people tomorrow, believe me, I'm happy to, to bring them on ahead of time.
I mean,
If we like. I mean, I'm actually interested in bringing on a person who is not an art person, but a culture person.
Yes.
Yes.
Great, yeah.
And I have someone in mind for that. Pardon?
Funny feeling, we're thinking of the same person. I don't know.
But I'm so struck by the Ulster County Arts and Cultural Plan. So I just wanted us to consider broadening,
Yeah, I mean, just to let somebody that's really strongly with business alliances would be amazing.
Somebody what?
Strong business
Oh, business.
connections.
Business alliances, all these business alliances that we have here.
I don't know any of those people.
I don't know them either, that's the whole thing, we're kind of absent with that, but we do need a link with the area businesses.
Well, but we also know people, who link to area businesses through various ways.
So anyway, works for me, what do y'all say?
Okay.
We're down to no quorum now.
So come on and make some suggestions is what I say.
Okay, good idea.
And including you all here. Thank you all for this meeting and for all the hard work you put into it, Kit.
Yeah, Kit, thanks.
Congratulations on everything you're doing.
And I'll have to clean over here.
Yes, get her out.
Yeah, sound great. Really we do.
And have a good